Hey, all you cool cats and kittens. It's Carol Baskin from Big Cat Rescue, and I am so angry, so very, very angry. But I am grateful that the Animal Legal Defense Fund is going after Brian Warner. There's a lawsuit being filed against Tiger Creek for violating the Endangered Species Act. And maybe the best thing about this is that finally, I think something may be done there about the conditions and about the things that have been happening that happen behind closed gates that only family members seem to have known about and nobody's been willing to talk about. So I'm really grateful that Animal Legal Defense Fund is going after this. It is just it's egregious, in my opinion, what is happening there. And actually, I'm going to read to you a little bit of the lawsuit that they're filing because I think you need to know just how horrible this is. Let me see if I can find it here. Well, that was easy. I just clicked on the picture. I was at bigcatrescue.org/news. When you click on the picture, it brings you to the lawsuit. And it says the lawsuit alleges federally endangered and threatened animals such as tigers, lions, and ring-tailed lemurs. Why are lemurs always in the mix? Are receiving inadequate care at Tiger Creek. Dallas. The Animal Legal Defense Fund filed a lawsuit against the National Foundation for Rescued Animals, a purported animal rescue organization doing business as Tiger Creek Animal Sanctuary, as well as its founder and former director, Brian Warner Ferris, and his daughter, Chairman and Executive Director Emily Owen, for allegedly violating the Endangered Species Act, ESA. Known as Tiger Creek, the facility, the Animal Legal Defense Fund argues, violated the ESA's take and transfer provisions by harming, harassing, and killing numerous animals, including 9 lions and tigers who have died there since 2018, and by transferring members of endangered and threatened species across state lines without the necessary permits. In the lawsuit, the Animal Legal Defense Fund alleges that extensive photographic and video evidence, first-hand observations, and government analysis, including an official warning issued by the U.S. Department of Agriculture, USDA, indicate that animals at Tiger Creek believed to be protected by the ESA are mentally and physically suffering. Now the key words here, and I don't know this for sure, but one thing I do know for sure is USDA does not go into these places and get detailed photos and video evidence. They just don't do it. They don't do undercover work for the most part. They don't bring these people to justice. So this tells me somebody was on the inside and saw what was happening and put together all of this evidence, and now the government's going to have to do something about it because they've been ignoring it. That's my reading between the lines, knowing what I know about these kinds of situations. And this next sentence would seem to bear that out. They go on to say, the USDA has allowed Tiger Creek to continue to operate even though its inspectors have recognized the facility fails to meet minimum care requirements for animals, says Animal Legal Defense Fund Executive Director Stephen Wells. Our lawsuit seeks justice for the big cats who have lost their lives and to ensure the animals still remaining at Tiger Creek are transferred to reputable sanctuaries. Good, not leaving anybody there if they get their way. Instances highlighting Tiger Creek's lack of adequate animal care at its facility are detailed in USDA inspection reports and public records, which indicate that care has been withheld or delayed. Alleged victims include a puma named Coco, who was euthanized days after he began dragging his leg around his enclosure and became immobile, a tiger named Amir, who stopped eating and was found dead in his cage, a tiger named Greg, who was euthanized after developing a distended abdomen and rejecting food, a tiger named Natty, who had a cyst the size of a quarter in her abdomen that grew over multiple weeks to the size of a dinner plate before rupturing, and a tiger named Tibor, who refused to eat after being transferred to Tiger Creek, where he ultimately died after spending hours in the rain, laying in his own urine. Tiger Creek is also alleged to be keeping 2 ESA-protected ring-tailed lemurs, highly social animals who typically live in groups, isolated, in separate enclosures with insufficient opportunities for enrichment and social interaction. This really interests me here because I've been hearing that Jeff Lowe has now taken up with Brian Warner, which would make absolute sense because, birds of a feather and all that. But this says the complaint also accuses Tiger Creek of violating the transfer provision of the ESA by failing to obtain applicable permits from the Secretary of Interior for its acquisition and transfer of endangered animals. For instance, in the past 3 years alone, Tiger Creek has allegedly acquired at least 6 protected animals out of state and transported them in interstate commerce. Tiger Creek is alleged to have acquired tigers Pomfret, Singer, and Natty in December of 2018, and Ava, Eloise, and Rosie in July of 2019, each from Doc Antle of Netflix Tiger King in Myrtle Beach, South Carolina. So all of you people who went there and paid to pet cubs, this is what you did. The ESA protects any members of species defined as endangered or threatened from myriad activities that cause them injury, death, or other types of harm. In 2018, the U.S. Courts of Appeal for the Eighth Circuit unanimously affirmed the lower court's decision applying the ESA to protect endangered animals in captivity, setting a precedent for future challenges. This precedent-setting case was filed by the Animal Legal Defense Fund in 2014 against Cricket Hollow Zoo, a roadside menagerie in Manchester, Iowa, relating to inhumane treatment of Siberian tigers and lemurs. So back to the news. Slain Yellowstone area cougar taught us a thing or two. Governor Holcomb signs cub petting ban into law. This is so exciting. It was the Humane Society of the United States, I believe, that created this bill in Indiana to ban cub petting, and it included big cats and bears, and it was signed into law. And so no more cub petting in Indiana, no more cub petting in Nevada, because that was signed into law in July of last year, and no more tiger selfies, which is effectively cub petting, in New York State. So 3 states down, got a little ways to go. The art of catching a bobcat, don't know what that was about. Look, a caracal sitting pretty on Chapman's Peaks Drive in Cape Town, so at least it's on the right continent. Photos show tigers abandoned in train carriage by traveling circus in new forever home. So apparently these circus tigers had just been left to starve to death in the trains that they had ridden around their entire lives and when the circus was banned. And so they have been rescued and sent to a wonderful sanctuary, is what I've been told. I'm not sure which sanctuary, I need to look into that. But hey, if they're walking on grass, I'm happy. As long as they don't breed them. Because real sanctuaries do not breed animals. Tiger found dead in Umred Forest is the 8th in the last 2 months. Watch furious lion scatters critters to reclaim prize. When you can hunt in Michigan's expanded bobcat season, should be never. We need to change this. We have a couple of things going on right now where we're trying to stop the bobcat hunts in Florida and Minnesota, and I'd have to look. There's other states. Photos, rare sighting of caracal kitten caught on camera up close. Tories put trophy import ban on hold and risk alienating voters. Something wild, are there more bobcats in New Hampshire or just more wildlife cameras? And Ukrainian refugee zoo animals find homes in exotic rescue center in Spain's Alicante. Well, that's good to hear. I wonder if it's that AAAP. I'll have to read that and see. So on any of these at bigcatrescue.org, you just click on the picture and it'll take you to the whole story, like we just saw at the Animal Legal Defense Fund. So I have 2 coordinator reports as well. First one is from, I did that one. First one is from March the 12th. Angie Gabor says, great Saturday. Yes, it was a little wet and cold, but we had a lot of fun. The Saturday crew ruled. We handled the rain and enjoyed taking care of our awesome cats. They are the reason we do this week after week. We started early with Amanda handling AM meds. Big thank you to Ryan, who answered my call for a little help. He fed the big cats along with Rich, Sarah, and I. The little cats were fed by Amanda, Johnny, Bree, and Kristen. We finished just the boar. I think that's a typo. We finished just before the sky opened up and lots of rain and wind came through. Once the rain died down a bit, we made our way to clean the enclosures. The job of our cleaners isn't only to search for poop, but also to look around the enclosure from top to bottom to make sure it's always safe for the cats and us. Shortly after we started cleaning, I got a call from Rich to meet him at Priya's open air enclosure. He discovered as he went around her enclosure that a tree had fallen on the cage wire and had compromised the enclosure. This is a perfect example of why, when severe weather is expected, all of the cats that have open air enclosures are secured in the roof sections of their enclosure. This is done to ensure the cats are safe at all times. We successfully removed the tree branch, but Priya will not have access to that side until the cage wire is fixed. Great job, Rich. I just did the video of that cage wire getting fixed, so she is now back out in her enclosure. After that fun experience, Erin and I walked all around the enclosures to make sure everything else was fine. We found a lot of fallen branches, but no more issues. So, as we dealt with the debris, Johnny, Zoe, and Amanda cleaned all of the little cat sections. Matt, Sarah, Rich, Kristen, and I cleaned all of the big cat sections. After lunch, the sun finally came out. Sarah, Bree, and Rich took care of tomorrow's diets, and they're doing this on their phones, and then went out to hand out blood sickles to most of the cats. We had lots of enrichment handed out, and many operant conditioning sessions were done. Sarah and Bree drove around the sanctuary picking up piles of debris that fell after the storm. They also started to complete some of the PM chores. Amanda also handled the PM meds and got Tut, the Savannah cat, to eat steadily all day. Amanda and Kristen close up the day as usual by finishing PM chores. It was a little wet, but this crew handled it like pros. Love the Saturday crew, Angie, and I love them too. Cat Lightcap on March 15th said, small but fierce crew today. Thankfully, the rain missed us all day. Fred began the day with AM supplements and meds. Lockouts were rocked by Brittany, Jordan, and Ryan. Jenny helped around the gift shop and spent some time with the cats. Small cats were fed by Ryan and Jordan, with Brittany and I taking care of the big cats. Maya and Dinasia joined afterwards to help out with cleaning. Food prep was taken care of by Maya, Dinasia, and Ryan, while Jordan spoiled the daily sickle and enrichment cats. After lunch, branches were picked up, and the interns continued working on Jasmine's new enclosure. Jordan handled PM meds and supplements as the interns wrapped up the day with, you guessed it, chores. Big thank you to everyone who came out to take care of the cats. You guys were great. They are great, and they're working on a beautification project. So we are moving the servals out across from vacation rotation because there's 8 cages back there that all have ponds, which most of our servals would really like and don't have. And it faces out over the lake where there's lots of birds and ducks and things to watch. So I thought it'd be nice for the servals to go out there and have a new space for a while. And I've asked the volunteers to really spruce those areas up because they were tiger cages. The tigers just trample everything to pieces. They kill all their plants. They pull them up by the roots. They have a blast with them, so we're constantly having to replant. But since these have been sitting empty for quite a while, we hadn't done anything inside to spruce them up. So now they have new grass, which is very green on today, St. Patrick's Day. Great timing. And they have started putting in plants. Jamie goes and gets all of the rejects from Lowe's, all of the stuff that they take into the back that they think is never going to survive. She gets it cheap or free and then brings it out here and they turn them into beautiful plants in the cages when our volunteers start feeding and watering the plants. So they did all that on the inside of the cages. And then there is a barricade project where each volunteer has been invited to stake out a section of the barricade and create their own little landscaping project. And there will be a prize of $500 for the winner, $250 for second place, and $150 for third, I think. And so that'll be a great way to beautify the place, have a little competition going on, and put a little bit of money into the pockets of these people who work so hard. I couldn't possibly pay all of these people to take care of these animals the way they do. And if you haven't seen Joe versus Carol, there's a great line in there, which I've never used before, but I think I'm going to start using, where Kate McKinnon says, "You know why we don't pay volunteers? Because I don't want mercenaries. I want patriots." Yeah, I love that line. And man, have we got some patriots here at Big Cat Rescue. Mwah! Love you guys.